Hey, once again, here I am, trying to produce the second video in my new vlogging series, where I'm basically recounting some past events in my life that kind of led to me being very insecure and drinking a lot, smoking a lot, paranoid a lot, and also the big one, which is depression. This is actually the third time trying to do this, and each time I've kind of broke down into tears, and I don't really want to do that, so if my eyes are a bit red, that's why. Now, in my last video, I recounted the night that I found my dad dead. Then I ended the video basically saying that I was going to tell you the next part of the story involving another family member, the loss of another family member, and a girlfriend who was the first love of my life. However, I completely forgot that something has to happen before all that, and the reason I say that is because it follows right on from the death of my father. So, for those that were wondering, my dad actually passed away at the age of 41, and he passed away of heart disease. I have been told that heart disease runs within the family, so the chances of me having it within my genes, well, considering that I drink and I smoke, which is exactly what my dad did, the chances of me having heart disease are very high as well, and also very, very worrying. But that's how my dad died. Now, around that time, I was still in high school. I was in my final year of high school, and me thinking that life couldn't get any worse was totally wrong. Basically, upon my father's death, my mum inherited a lot of pensions that were set up by my father, that would basically look after her and the family after he was gone. Now, it was a substantial amount of money. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much it was, because that, well, some things you got to keep to yourself. But I didn't get any of that money. It was my mum, obviously. It was her husband, so what he left went to my mum, which is the way it works with marriage. But basically, my mum bought herself a brand new car. She also managed to pay off her mortgage, so she didn't have to worry about that. So, around this time, I was attending a school which was about 8 miles away. Because it wasn't really a local area school, there wasn't a school bus service, so I'd have to catch a standard bus service from the local council. But I absolutely hated that, because it never ran on time. I was always late for school, and I was always getting in trouble for it. So my mum would agree to drop me off at school, and obviously pick me up from school. Now, it was around this time that the trouble it's where I started experiencing stuff that I shouldn't have been experiencing. There were kids in school that were teasing me, calling me rich boy and spoiled brat and all this stuff, just because my mum had gone and bought herself this brand new car. It was nice at the time. It was a brand new Citroen Zara. Now, back then, they were new out. and everyone was buying them. So because my mum had gone and bought one, all these bullies in school were calling me rich boy and spoiled brat and all this stuff, and it was upsetting. There was days when I would be in class and I would be basically pushed to the point of tears because they were teasing me so much, and they thought they were having a laugh amongst themselves. To me, they were basically ripping my heart out without even considering what I've been through. Now I've got past that part of my life, that high school, that bullying, but it didn't just stick. At the time. It didn't just stay in school. Basically, when my mum found out that I was being bullied, because I didn't want to go to school, I was making up all these excuses, saying I don't want to go into school. I was saying I was ill. I wasn't ill. I was scared to admit that I was being bullied. And when she finally did find out, she actually stormed into that school, and she requested to, can I put it, to sit down in a room with me and with those lads that were bullying me and have a face-to-face with them and tell them their mind, because it wasn't just me that they were bullying, they were also hurting her, because calling me rich boy and this spoilt brat, because it was her money, it wasn't mine. Well, technically it was my dad's money that he left to my mum, and she wanted to know why they were treating me the way they were. So this one day, a teacher, of course, rounded up the bullies and pulled them into a side room, into, like, it was the nurse's consultation office, a few couches and stuff, and tried to have the way with them. A few of them, well, almost all of them, apologised because they didn't understand. Like, they hadn't grown up with fathers, because their parents were divorced, or none of them had ever met their dad. Like, he wasn't around when they were born, etc. And I got a lot of apologies off most of them, and in fact I've got almost all of them on Facebook to this day, and we are friends now. We talk, and I've forgiven them for what they did. But there was this one lad, I'm not going to mention his name, number one, because I haven't got his permission, and number two, God, it sickens me to think that almost 10 years on, well, it is technically longer, he's still to this day, when I've tried to add him as a friend on Facebook, he actually messaged me and says, yeah, get a life, mate. I haven't forgotten what I did, and if I ever see you again, I will either stab you or beat the absolute living shite out of you. In other words, he wants to kill me, still to this day. And for somebody to hold a grudge like that it just goes to show that some people don't grow up. But those other bullies that apologised to me, they have grown up, and they have got my forgiveness, and they've apologised. Even like when we've just had conversations, and it's come up into conversation about the bullying, what high school was like, they've apologised again and again and again. And it's just one of those things. Back in school, it's immature, but when you get past the high school days, it's kind of, it just basically says that high school isn't the end of the line, you know, like bullying doesn't last forever. I will recount just something though. That day, even after some of these lads had apologised, I went home and obviously it didn't stop that day. It still carried on. Even though we did get those apologies for those people, it did still carry on. But again, I am friends with them now, so I'm allowed to explain what went on, and I'm sure if they are watching this video, they will understand and remember what happened. We were all there, you know. But after that day in the office where my mum confronted them, I basically went home and I thought, oh, I'm going to get on with my life and all this stuff. I can carry on with school and I can have fun and thing. Unfortunately, some of my friends had gotten wind of the bullying, and it was about a week later. The bullying had continued. I ended up getting stabbed, actually, in the hand. Now, I know it sounds stupid now, but you know those, like, they've got, like, a metal pinpoint on them, and you'll stick them in paper, you'll put a pencil into them, and you'll, like, draw a circle. They call it, like, a compass, basically. But it's for drawing perfect circles. And somebody actually took that, and it stabbed me directly, this area here, and the amount of blood that spilled out onto this classroom floor, you'd think that someone had just chopped my wrist off. It was dripping everywhere. It was sickening, to be honest with you. There was a couple of people that actually threw up. But that's what kind of bullying it was. Just stupid stuff, like verbal, physical. There was other things that happened, but I'm not going to really go into too much detail, because there are some things I'd like to keep back, because it's actually in my novel. My novel has it in a lot more detail. Of course, if anyone has any questions, feel free to comment below and I will answer every single one of them. But that evening, the day after I'd been stabbed in the hand, my mum was driving up to school to pick me up, and she, about halfway near the school, she noticed that a car had pulled up behind her, and it was like following her journey. And upon pulling up to some traffic lights, the car pulled up alongside her, and she thought at this point, oh god, I'm gonna get carjacked here. Something's going down. Turns out it was one of my friends back home. Now, I hung around with people that were a lot older than me, people that were driving, because I live in a small village, so everyone kind of knows each other, you see. And when they got wind of this bullying, they wanted to combat it themselves. So he started to follow my mum, and he let her know that that's why he was following her. So they continued on the journey, and then another car joined the convoy. So by this point, there's two cars and my mum's car. My mum's thinking, oh god, something's going down here. And then, as she reached the road that leads up to the school, a final car joined the convoy. So now you've got 3 cars and my mum's car. As she pulled up the hill near school and pulled up outside the school gates, the bell had just gone, so kids were starting to roll out. The school I was at was actually an all-boys school, so they were just flooding out, rushing out of that gate and just flooding onto the street and making their way home. The lads that were following my mum's car jumped out of their cars. One of them, again, I'm not going to mention his name, because I don't want to get anyone in trouble for what happened. But from under his seat, he grabbed a metal bar, which he then continued to put in the back of his pants out the way. He rushed up to my mum's car, told her to stay in the car. they were then the ones to meet me at the school gates. Not my mum this time. It was my friends, basically. And they demanded that I show them who was bullying me, because they had something to say. We must have traipsed around the school grounds for a good 15 minutes before walking through the school grounds, out of a back gate, and then basically onto the... It was like a shopping street, really. It was just lined with shops where all the kids would go after school to spend like money that they had left over from school dinners and stuff. And we went, and there were still kids all around, and we're looking everywhere. They were on edge. I'm on edge. However, we didn't find them, which of course led us back to the car, and we made our way home. Little did we know, later that night, it was a Friday evening. The weekend was upon us, and every Friday night we would I basically go out with my friends who had the cars. And I know a few people I still have on my Facebook for this, and we'd just go out driving, basically. Just going to Blackpool, it'd be a bit of a laugh, to be honest with you. Go to McDonald's, you know how it was. And it was that night while we were driving around town, I made this stupid mistake of, as we were passing, like, it was like an indoor bowling complex. It's unfortunately it's no longer there now. They've knocked it down. I think there's a car park there now. I laid eyes on a couple of the lads who were on BMXs. They were riding through town, and I made the mistake of shouting to one of the drivers in the car, "Those are the lads that have been bullying me." Sure enough, what ensued was a chase through the streets looking for these lads. And we're taught at this point, there's still 3 cars full of us. We're driving around town, and then again we lay eyes on them near this indoor bowling like venue. So we slam the cars on. The drivers, some of the drivers stay in the cars. One person just leaves his car there and jumps out anyway, because his girlfriend's jumped out the car. She's leaped over this banister, like railing at the side of the road, and she's chased after these lads round the corner. So we all go after her. Again, I'm not going to mention a name because I don't want to get anyone in trouble from that night. We basically jumped over that rail and got round the corner. At that point, all we see is this lad's girlfriend saying, "Turn round and run the other way." What we see is a mob of about 20 people. These lads must have rushed into a pub, grabbed these people. They've chased us. We're jumping over this bloody banister. We're jumping in the cars. It was pretty frantic at the time. And as this lad's girlfriend jumps in the car and goes to shut the car door, this mob of people have caught up, and they've literally kicked the side of his car and dented all of his all the side of the door. Basically, the panel was just dented in. They give it a right good boot. They were ready for us. They wanted to take us. It wasn't that we were trying to start a fight of any kind. My friends were just trying to help me through what was going on, and they just wanted to speak to these bullies and tell them to stop, because they knew what I'd been through with losing my father and stuff. That night, my mum told me that I was not returning to that school. I just wasn't returning. More for the safety of myself, because if they could do that to a car, just imagine if they laid eyes on me on the Monday morning. They could have probably stamped my head in, and I might not even be here to this day. I don't know. Having spoke to a couple of the bullies from back then, they said they would have gladly stomped on my head. They didn't give 2 shits about me. But now that they're adults, they see where they went wrong and they see their mistakes. But no, I didn't return to school. However, what did happen is I was enrolled in college. I was told that I could finish, instead, because I couldn't go back to school, it meant I couldn't get any GCSEs. So it meant that I could, well, it was passed that it was basically passed and allowed that I could complete my final year of high school in college. Now, again, I'm already up to like 20-minute video here, and I don't want to bore you. I don't want to constantly drag all this out, but I do have plenty more to tell you. My novel has over 50 different chapters, all that follow certain situations throughout my life, certain events that have made me who I am today and pushed me towards my depression and stuff. And I am going to try my best to share with you each chapter in a more bite-sized video, a lot like these. So what I am telling you is not word for word per chapter, it's my recollection of the events that unfolded throughout my life and pushed me towards those even worse times in my life. The drinking, the depression, the no confidence factor. And of course, we will reach the point where I lost another family member and where I met the love of my life. However, the next part in the book and the next part in my story that I want to share with you will be in my next video. And those are my college years. The years that I actually met a lad by the name of Andy. And to this day, he's still one of my closest friends. I've never had a friend who I'm so close to other than Andy. And I am allowed to say his name because he's granted me permission. He's even in my novel. And we still talk to this day. So in my next video, which will be coming in the next couple of days, I'll tell you about my college days and how I kind of got in with the popular group, and I made some of the best friends anyone could ever ask for.